Coach, everybody in their coaching journey kind of takes little pieces of the coaches that they've worked under. You get to work under two of the most legendary names over the last couple decades in Brian Kelly and Jim Harbaugh. What have you taken from those guys that you've added to your own kind of repertoire?
I'd say the ability to relate to people and to lead people. Each coach that I've worked for has done it in a different way. But at the end of the day, the coaches that I've had the most success are the ones that understand that the relationships and the people trump everything else. And so seeing those coaches interact on a day-to-day with their staff and then also build those relationships with the players, I think that's the biggest thing I've taken away in my journey as a coach.
Spending last season in the NFL with the Chargers, what have you taken from that pro game and that pro style of coaching that you can bring back to college?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the standard that the pros operate with every single day, and specifically in that building in LA. It's a high standard, whether you're a player or a coach. It's every single day for 8 months of the season, however long it goes. You're expected to play to that standard, coach to that standard, operate at that level every single day, no matter the circumstances. And so coming here, I think that's the biggest thing that I see on a day-to-day with the guys is setting that standard and then holding them to that. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me, transitioning from the NFL to college.
I read in a lot of different quotes that when you got hired here that you were a connector, like at first. So how important is that, coming into a completely different program, a whole new program, how important is that to kind of set the tone and connect with your defense here?
It's the most important thing. When you, especially with college-age kids, they're only going to work as hard as they believe that you care in them, as hard as they believe you have that relationship with them off the field. You want to see them succeed in the classroom. You want to see them build a career off the field. So that relationship is first and foremost. We spent the last 3 months, however long we've been here as a defensive staff, building that relationship, showing the guys we're investing in them on and off the field. And then what that allows you to do is to push them and hold them to that standard I just talked about on a day-to-day basis. And they know it's coming from a place of love rather than us trying to instill fear and dictate and all those things.
You get, obviously I know your background in coaching safeties and defensive backs, and I feel like that's a strength of this team this year. Just what gets you excited about, not only having Tate Halleck back, but the transfers that you brought in and Micah Davis and Joseph Jefferson and just that room in general? Yeah,
every single day is exciting for me to walk on the field and come to the meeting room because you got guys that love football first and foremost. They love to compete. And if you have those two things, everything else takes care of itself. And so the thing I love most about Tate is his willingness to compete on a day-to-day basis. He's in there all the time watching film. He can play multiple positions. He's football smart. And the rest of the room follows suit with that. And so it's a joy for me. It doesn't matter what level I'm at. It's always the same. If you love ball and you love to compete, I'm game. Like, I love those type of guys.
Yeah, and Coach Taylor talked about how, you might see some different looks from Tate and some safeties and how you manage those guys and defensive looks. What kind of characteristics can you share that's going to be new about this defense?
I don't know if there's anything new to share. It's going to be a violent defense. It's going to be a defense that plays 11 as one. We talk about team defense. Our primary objective is to win. And so whatever that takes, we talk about as well, being our best when our best is needed. So you're going to see 11 guys swarming the ball, playing hair on fire, 60 minutes as hard as they can go. And that's the product we're going to put on the field in the fall.
This defense was known to be able to have some takeaways last year, but was also gave up some points. I know last year, you had arguably the best defense in the NFL, or points per game wise. What kinds of things are you going to try to implement to maybe shore up some of that explosives or just the points per game in here?
I don't think those two categories are mutually exclusive, if that makes sense. Like, I think we can be elite at takeaways, negative plays, but also be a defense that doesn't give up X plays. And so the thing that we preach, again, is team defense. It's doing your job. It's being one of 11 and it's playing as hard as possible with great fundamentals. And so when you do that, you create those negatives, those takeaways, while also limiting explosive plays. And so that's our goal as a defense. We're not a defense that's saying we're going to blitz every play and we may give up some touchdowns. That's not our mindset. Our mindset is to be the best in the country. And so we're going to try to take the ball away, create negatives, and keep the top on the defense.
Last thing is, I know you have a previous relationship with Coach Taylor. Can you just touch on, what that meant to come here and reunite with him?
Yeah, that was the driving factor for me. I know what type of man Coach Taylor is. I know why he coaches. I know how he coaches. So I knew the culture that I would step into inside the program. So I was excited to be a part of that. I also know that we have a great relationship and we trust each other. So I knew that I would have some freedom to run the defense and to really invest in this the way I want to do it. So that was really, for me, the primary driving factor to come here initially.
And you bring in a handful of former Notre Dame players and coaches. Talk about the staff you built there on defense.
Yeah, the thing that we were looking for, the two things the most was guys that could relate to the players, invest in them and care about them. And then the second is guys that had a competitive fire inside of them. So a lot of these guys are young, they're hungry, they played at a high level, have coached at high levels, and so they've seen how things need to be done, what the standard needs to be set at to accomplish great things here. And so when we assembled the staff, that was what we were looking for. And the driving factor behind every one of the hires, they were great people that are fun to come to work with. And so I'm really excited about the defensive staff.
Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.